Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, FRS Season 6, this lovely Sunday with PlayStation Division 1 as they take on Round 5, which would be Silverstone, a historic track. At nearly 27 seconds, drivers are going to be losing the largest amount of time in the pits at Silverstone, not just on this season's calendar, but anywhere. The complete opposite of what we saw today in the real race. Of course, we have two DRS zones, one on the back straight, where the GT cars start, and one in between turns 5 and 6. And it's going to be a fantastic time. Excuse me. Silverstone is only one of the 3 tracks to host an FRS season finale, the other 2 being Interlagos, Brazil, and the third being one that is eluding me right now. Oh, yeah, anyways, action zones, left field, Brooklands, and I think Stowe is going to be another one for reasons that we don't know. Just kidding. We know exactly what happened at Stowe in real life. That leads into the left, right, left chicane, if I remember that correctly. We have 3 soft compound tires, the hards, the mediums, and the softs. With the one stop being doable, especially and actually viable, or not viable, but rather ideal with the high pit lane loss. Hard's going to go 18 laps, mediums about 14, and softs about 8, but we saw yesterday in Xbox that the pace of them is just not where it's at. Of course, Dante maintaining the lead of this championship, but Ray Rain making up a spot over Mako with their win. My favorite rookie. But without any further ado, I guess we should go ahead and probably take a look at these guys as they continue to go around for qualifying now. And I'll get all this stuff pulled up that we would like to see. And I am being told that it is indeed going to be a dry qualifying session and a dry race session. For those who are unaware, out of the loop, I am going to be alone in the broadcast booth today as LC Fighter is out and about doing some conference work, a conference that he's been hard at work setting up for his university. So I know that he got talking to me about it, and I know that it's going to be a big weight off of his shoulders and something that he was looking forward to, but also stressing out about. So the next weekend, he's not going to be here either because he's going to be out there chucking orange flares out onto the track in Monza as he watches the Red Bull guys continue to dominate with over a 100-point gap. But those who do not have a 100-point gap would be Dante, with only a couple of points separating him and my favorite rookie, Ray Rain, in the Ferrari as they come around the final corner now. And I pressed the absolute wrong button. Excuse me, there's the button I wanted to press as we ride on board with Ray Rain coming up to this fast right-hander that you can still take flat out in these cars, although up at Stowe I myself have to lift a little bit, especially when you're at the high fuel trim there, as Ray Rain doing a nice job to avoid upsetting the car, avoiding those curves. And man, it really does look dark out there, so it might possibly rain. I'm not 100% sure though. Either way, Ray Rain having a very solid lap so far, coming up now at a very tricky, weird braking zone and corner combination here as they come up now to, what is this, the left field one. We have a long right-hander, and it's like a double apex corner for me, how I take it, but Ray Rain doing a great job to keep it in control so far as we come up to the infamous Stowe now, where some drama started last season as they had a little bit of understeer there, but managed to keep it in bounds, as we know that people can abuse that track limits there, running wide and not even having to let off as they go through Maggots and Beckett's now through this tricky chicane, coming up to this DRS zone where the DRS has been actually staying in the same spot. I was going to say it looks like it might have been shifted a little bit closer to that corner exit, but nope, it's in the same spot there as they, you can see how much understeer Ray Rain picked up there in this third to final corner as we're coming up to, fourth to final corner, excuse me, that's the penultimate one now. Coming around now to the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight with a 127.6 now for Ray Rain, as it looks like the other Alfa Romeo of Daryl Adam is going to be the next cross line of 29.3. A good banker lap, to say the least, especially with such a wide field spread that we see now, as I believe Mako is going to be coming across the line, who is known for their one-lap pace, and almost a whole second off, 0.8, 3/4 of a second behind Ray Rain there. for Mako in the Aston Martin. As we look to IP Switch now, who invalidated their lap time, it looks, so that is going to be it for them. They might have even had a little bit of an off there, looking at how much lack of yellow there is on that nose cone of that Red Bull there, as they're probably going on an in-lap, I'd imagine. I guess we could ride on board and see what they're doing. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're on a particular flyer right now. As OJ Fields crosses the line of 132. Again, respectable banker lap there, as IP Switch actually does appear to be going on another flyer here. Yeah, they do have the battery juice for it, but you can see those tire temperatures, that left side there is just suffering through there. Of course, this being a clockwise circuit, your left side is going to be most exposed compared to anti-clockwise circuits. So that's also something else that we're going to have to pay attention to, as the tires are a bit more durable. I'm not sure exactly which compounds they're going to be doing, as IP Switch is going to be picking up a tow here from an Alpine ahead. Is that Brashnikas ahead, I believe? As it doesn't look like the Alpine ahead is backing off. Oh, indeed, they are now backing off, and yes, it was Brashnikas backing off there. And IP Switch is on a flying lap, so let's go ahead and ride on board as they come up to the penultimate corner now. And really, this next one isn't really much of a corner. It's just something that you want to try and save as much speed as you can there. 128.5, putting them behind Mako for the time being. So that's kind of interesting, as Brashnikas must have had some kind of, as it looks like the iMilk Menace is spun around there. We'll go ahead and cut to YRG, who's rebranded as of last weekend, but it looks like they have invalidated their lap time. So there's a little lull in the action now. Excuse me as oh, sorry. Yep, I'm very sorry about that. It is Ipswich, not IP Switch. I don't know why I say that, but yeah, Ipswich. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not big into soccer, so I don't hear this stuff all the time. You know, soccer. Anyways, as it looks like, we are doing all right. As I was, I'm very sorry again, Ipswich. I will get it right one of these times. But looking for somebody who's on a fly lap, maybe Brashnikas. I should have paid attention to that. Brashnikas is indeed on. Oh, they've invalidated the lap, so that's gonna be Brashnikas. I imagine heading into the pits, as we can see how much fuel they have left. Yeah, that's probably gonna be them. Done, as they're making their Season 6 debut here in Silverstone. The American-based driver. Don't know where in America, and I'm not really too concerned either. But they're going to be diving into the pits now as we go back to YRG, who looks like they are on a valid lap this time around in the Williams now. As they're coming through Maggots and Beckett's, and puts in a purple sector too, but again, I think that's just one of those bugs that has just continued to stick around from the previous games, as they are coming up now to a corner. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a track map here, so that, oh, nope, that is going to be YRG into the pits and picking up some damage potentially there. Not that it's too much of a issue this time around, as, ooh, you can see Skillet just getting super wide there to try and maximize the potential that they're going to be having down this back straight here. That was an actually very lovely little line there, not one that I've seen before, and you can just see these cars have just been so prone to understeer, especially around this track. We saw it over in Xbox yesterday with a race that I am constantly trying to forget. It was not one that should be ever put down in the history books. It was something else, but yeah, you can see the understeer that they have there, again doing a nice job to keep it in bounds though. As they, YRG retiring in the pits, it appears. Not happy with their lap times that they were doing. Or, as they run wide, but they are able to keep it in bounds there. Not going to be within any kind of range to get a tow from that that Ferrari ahead. Excuse me, I was looking at the screen. The driver's POV rather than the track map. But, yeah, so Skillet fan doing a nice job here, keeping it nice and tidy. Nice job staying off of those curbs and taking the proper ones that they should be this time around, as they're going to head down the Lewis Hamilton straight, cross the line, and that is a fantastic and extremely respectable time for the best of the rest, because let's just be honest here, it appears that Ray Ray is just an entire league of their own currently in this session. as Ray Rain is actually on a flying lap right now. So we can go ahead and cut to them as they're going to be coming up towards the first sector split here, and we can see exactly how much they've been able to improve with this track evolution. It's only 300th right now, so again, it feels as though the track seems to ramp up exponentially rather than more of a linear style that we've had in previous games past. So we're going to be seeing times tumble like mad, like Jenga blocks, towards the end of this session as Ray Rain is coming up to the very tricky Maggots and Beckett's, and I'm still working on pulling up that track map so I can properly say these corners as it probably should be done. As Ray Rain having some yellow flags with people trying to get out of the way. And I see these two Alfa Romeo drivers, though, yeah, I was going to say we might have been seeing some tow possibilities. It's huge, the amount of an advantage, the amount of time that you can gain with a tow as the two Aston drivers appear to be diving into the pit lane now, getting out of Ray Rain's reign as Ray Rain is going to continue their reign of domination. Man, there's so many puns that I should just try and avoid there. As you can see, they improve by almost a whole tenth, and that's still enough to be 7/10 ahead of Skillet Fan, nearly a whole second ahead of our qualifying man, Mako himself, as Skillet Fan is going to be on an in-lap. But let's cut to our championship leader. Dante hasn't been known too much for their one-lap pace. However, they have been known for having good race pace, and I'm a little bit surprised to see them this far down. I know that I just mentioned that they're not the fastest one-lappers, the hot lappers, but I would expect them to be up a little bit higher. You know, P5 is probably right at the bottom, right where I'd expect them to be at on their worst day. So we'll go ahead and ride on board with OJ Fields now and the solo Haas out there. We saw, was it Mefawak in there yesterday? Or not yesterday, but last weekend? Not particularly sure. I believe that we did have two Haas drivers out, as it looks like they are down and possibly on an in-lap. So we're going to cut to Ipswich, who appears to be a 10th up on their time through that first sector split, but we'll get a better idea as they come up to the Maggots and Beckett's S's here, and the Sector 2 split is going to be coming up now, so we'll have a better idea as to what the true representation of the time is. 3/10 improvement there, so that is going to be competitive enough to put them up to P2, and possibly, depending on how they nail this final sector, might even put them into the 127s alongside Ray Rain, currently the only driver in the 127. So we'll pay attention here with Ipswich as they are going to come up here and come across the final corner. Left a little bit of apex there as, oh, it is so close there to Skillet Fan ahead there, Ipswich in that Red Bull. Oh, that is extremely close, but it is enough to jump Mako, I should point out, but it's not enough to jump up into that front row there. So for the time being, as we've crossed the halfway mark here in qualifying, we are indeed still waiting for that track evolution to happen as Ipswich takes a very interesting line there, trying to cool their tires the iRacing strategy way as we look to Mefawak, who appears to be on outlap. They're still joining with us as they finally have their rig all set up. If you haven't seen it, it is a very cozy looking setup. Sketchy, yes, but very cozy at the same time, as it appears that we might be cutting in and out of stream. So I'm looking at my my data rates here on OBS, and it's looking interesting, and I believe that it might actually be because I have Google pulled up. As we know, it loves to eat all different kinds of bandwidth and memory. But as I'm killing time here, trying to, again, excuse me, pull up, oh man, we are dropping frames like mad, aren't we here? But I'm going to continue commentating as Ipswich, I'd imagine, and that Red Bull is going to be going in, and everybody else is prepping their cars, going over their notes for their final flying lap. As I think if Mefawak, depending on how much fuel they're carrying, they do have 4 laps of fuel, so they could do a push lap, a cool down lap, followed by another push lap. If time would allow that, though, I don't think they're going to be cutting it very close here, and they might have to do some little bit of corner cutting, which is generally frowned upon. But Mefawak here will go ahead and ride on board with the reserve driver, currently sitting in the Aston Martin. I guess you could say they're the Nico Hulkenberg of this division in the current car that they're in, as I continue to pull up a Silverstone track map. Wonderful, lovely stuff. There we go. Finally have one up here, so I'll have a better idea of the names. Oh yes, some of these are ringing a little bit of a bell now as he's coming through left field that we saw in that intro provided to us by Quimbulus. Thank you very much, Quimbulus, for doing all the hard work that you have been doing for, upping this production value as we continue right on board with Mefawak. The only other driver who has yet to set a lap time, of course, with YRG retiring in the pits as, again with that understeer, it just seems like the front just was lacking so much grip there, and it continues as they go through that final chicane corner. Now down the second DRS zone. DRS wide open. Ignore that purple sector 2. It's still just a known bug as they do a good job for fighting that understeer, able to keep the car within bounds. That's another very tricky spot that you can absolutely go outside of the track limits, and that one will actually punish you, unlike when you're running out of stow there. So they're going to come across the line now and jump up into P10 with a 131.5, as it looks like we are seeing some more drivers start to head out now as I just cut to Thigh Milk Menace. Oh, they were 4/10 up on their lap too, so that might be that's probably going to be their qualifying session done indeed for them. So we'll cut now to Advocat, who is nearly a second up, and so they're going to be looking at jumping Mefawak, and depending on how much time they can gain through this final sector here, possibly up into P9 and overtake Furry Onyx. So it looks like Furry Onyx is currently in the pits as well. Oh, but they are just now exiting, so I was going to say I was a bit surprised to see Jamlad still in there, as Mefawak indeed does jump over, or Advocat, excuse me, jumps over Mefawak. And that's going to be Advocat's session done, though they do have enough time to do somewhat of a cooldown lap, a quick cooldown lap, and get back to it. But we'll cut to the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mako, who is going to be fighting for pole, currently sitting P4. Whoa, big snap of oversteer there from Mako, and that's going to cost him huge as he's going to come up to this Sector 1 split now. And how is he going to be looking? Oh, that oversteer moment is just going to punish you further down. Mistakes later on in the lap don't usually cost you as much as they would earlier in the lap. And so I missed what time they put in for Sector 2, but it's not a purple Sector 1. That is for certain, as they're continuing to push through and try and scrap away and look at maybe splitting Ipswich and Skillet Fan, but it's a big ask. Just 2/10, but man, that was a big shake-up there for Mako in the Aston Martin, as we are seeing some other drivers. Looks like Advocat did cross the line in time to... No, that was Ray Rain, excuse me, to start their flying lap, as Mako is stopped on the track. So that's going to be Mako's session done for, I'd imagine. I don't know how much time they have left there as we go ahead and cut to Furry Onyx, as it looks like they started their flying lap now. Can't particularly see as they invalidate there now. Brashnikash ahead of them in the Alpine, making their Season 6 debut. How is Brashnikash going to do? I guess we could cut to also Mefawak, who's coming into the pits. No, that's Mako going to cross the line. Yeah, you can see that they're already 5 seconds. Yeah, nowhere close to improving, but they might. That's not nearly enough as much battery that you would want for this qualifying session. So Mako's going to continue to push on, but I don't think they're going to be able to make any kind of improvement. So we're going to have to keep an eye on Ipswich and Skillet Fan and see if they're going to be able to upset Ray Rain, our current provisional pole sitter, who has just been on a different level of their own there. Ipswich is going to be the first one to cross the line, as Dante, our championship leader, just appears to be parked, missing a front wing there where we've seen, oh, excuse me, that is the wrong driver, but parked there where we've seen Mads have that extremely strange retirement in Season 3, was it? So big shunt for Ipswich right on the exit of that final corner, and that's going to mess with some drivers if they're unable to get that car off in time, as Ray Rain still goes on to improve. It is nearly a second ahead of the next closest driver to Skillet Fan, who has invalidated their lap. Mako invalidated their lap as well. So Brashnikas, we cut to him, invalidated lap, and they're spinning around. So is Furry Onyx? Nope, invalidated. Advocat, the only other potential contender, I guess, who could take on Ray Rain. But I don't know if they're going to be close enough. Looking at the timing, I don't think it's going to be good enough to battle for that P1. So Ray Rain has it secured, but is Advocat going to be able to improve? They do improve, but it's not enough to jump Furry Onyx there. Me, oh my, what a extremely eventful ending to this qualifying session, seeing everybody absolutely put it out at the very end there, and the person who did not end up making a mistake was the one who didn't even really need to be pushing it as hard as the others were. But Ray Rain able to improve their lap time to, what is that, just under 9/10 to Skillet Fan behind, who is going to be alongside Ray Rain on the front row with Ipswich in the Red Bull there. And I don't know why we must be waiting for some of the other drivers to be getting put away. Yeah, Mako having that little snap of oversteer early on in his lap and just unable to recover from that towards the end of theirs. Ipswich looked good, but just had that mistake out of the final corner. And there's that car, as it looks like the AI are continuing to drive into them. But man, oh man, Ray Rain just has continued to keep this excellent form that they've had since they've made their return from missing out in round 2, was it? Or not missing round 2, but rather having a little bit of a DNF in round 2. But yeah, that was a very interesting qualifying session. And again, I've been completely biased on this stream. Very happy to see Ray Rain on the top there. But man, Ray Rain might have to be inducted to the Berry Club with the amount of dominance that they've continued to carry throughout this season. But we are just in round 5, and we still have 5 more races to go. 6, including this one, with us returning to, as I mentioned it, Miami next weekend. So that's going to be one to look out for. And as a matter of fact, now I think about it, I am unsure if I'll be able to make the stream happen next weekend, as I will be watching a different racing event, that being the Kansas Speedway, Hollywood Casino, 300 or something like that, NASCAR playoff, American stuff. But the guys are loaded into the lobby now, getting their final setups tuned in, dialed just right. As we can see, the PC Division 1 Drivers' Championship there, Boof jumping up into P2 alongside his teammate Silver Arrow. So Mercedes doing a nice job dominating in Division 1. And of course, you can see on the screen Fraser in a league of their own. But let's talk about PlayStation. Dante has held on to the lead of this championship, I believe, from the get-go, if I am not mistaken, as we are indeed going to be cutting to the race start now. Now, I'm not sure if we are doing a formation lap. If it's, nope, it's going to be straight into the race. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 5 red lights. Away they go. As I am trying to pull up the tires so that everybody can see what people have fitted. But there we go. Ray Rain managing to hang on to the lead of this race, even though Skillet Fan is going side by side. And Ray Rain, interesting choice with the hard tires there, as they're going to be struggling to get up to temperature, as I'm not sure how fixed the tire temperature bugs are, as we see Brashnikas having a little bit of oversteer in the back there, having their wheel a little bit squirrely, as we have a yellow flag there for Methawalk on the hard tire compound there. But Ray Rain and Skillet Fan are going side by side. They have been throughout the most of Sector 1 there, as it looks like Skillet Fan has finally been able to eke out ahead for the time being, and Mako is now looking to put some pressure on to Ray Rain ahead there. But Dante is very close to the back of that Red Bull of Ipswich as they go through Stowe there. And it's looking good as Methawalk again continues to struggle in that Aston Martin as a result reserve role. But Furry Onyx and Daryl Adam going side by side there. Very interesting place to try and get an overtake done there from Daryl Adam. And I imagine that probably caught Furry Onyx off guard there, as we have cars potentially going to be going 3 wide here into Stowe. No, that's not Stowe. Excuse me. Wait, no, it is Stowe. Oh, I've been calling this wrong the whole time. It's Cobb. Oh, we see OJ Fields getting spun around there, as I was looking down at the track map and completely missed it. So hopefully somebody else was paying enough attention to know what happened there. But Thy Milk Menace is still going side by side there with Brashnikas. There's contact between the 2 drivers. And that's going to put Thy Milk Menace, Skyline Man as he's known in Discord, out And in the back of this race, as OJ Fields overtakes Thigh Milk Menace there. So, man, some elbows out racing, I must say, for the beginning of this race. As I want a better camera angle, guys. What's going on here? I guess I'll cut to the board here. And it looks like, oh no, does Brashnikast have some kind of damage to their car? As it looked like they might have had some front wing damage. Possibly? No, their front wing is still intact, but we can see that YRG is looking to make a move on Daryl Adam in the Alfa Romeo now. And is they going to try and do the over-under move here and get it done as we head to another corner that I'm completely going to butcher the name of? Okay, so we're coming up to Cops now. I've been calling this Stowe the entire time. Excuse me. As they're going to go side by side through Cops and manage to do a nice job without having any kind of contact. Real life Formula One should take some notes with that. But Daryl Adam manages to hang on to the lead as they head through Maggots, Beckett's, and up to the Chapel curve now. I assume that that is not the Dave Chappelle curve, but rather the Chapel curve now, as YRG is alongside here with Daryl Adams. And are they going to be able to do any kind of move into that corner? No, looking to get a switchback done on them. Are they going to be able to get it done as I go ahead and try and hide this so we can get a better look? And they might get a switchback done as Skillet Fan puts in the fastest lap now, as you guys can see. As, ooh, the penalties starting to come in now for these drivers. As we continue to have a yellow flag there at the back. But we'll cut back to the front here and just take a quick look at how these guys are doing up front. Ray Rain on that hard tire compound, opting for that alternate strategy, as we've seen some drivers do before in Xbox. I believe it was Quimulus and one other driver that I can't particularly remember now that started right alongside or right and behind Quimulus, but it did kind of work out. Of course, we have to take those with a grain of salt, as it looks like Furry Onyx and Brashnikast are going at it here. Even with Brashnikast on those soft tires, are they starting to fall off now? As Furry Onyx Jamlad was looking a little bit more competitive now, as the gap has seemed to somewhat settle down now to around half a second, as there's just great racing up and down the field. So I'm very sorry. It's just one of those curses when it comes to commentating, is that there's always good action up and down, but I can only have one camera, and even then the camera's not usually that great, but I can only have one camera, one action to be looking at. So I just kind of, ooh, and that's Furry Onyx the wrong way around. I hope they didn't pick up any kind of contact. It looks like their front wing is still thankfully intact, but man, Jamlad, not a good start so far. Well, they have able to manage to hang on now, as YRG had a look at potentially trying to outbreak Daryl Adam, but we're still way early on in this race. So, whew, me oh my. We still have 22 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line yet again. But we'll go ahead and cut back to the front, as this is where some of the bigger points are earned here. And again, I pointed out, Ray Rain able to stay on the back of Mako on those harder compound tires. Now, one thing to take a look. Oh, we have a migrating host issue as Mako has left the session. Oh, no, that's not going to be good for Mako now. Oh, boy, this caused problems last time out in Xbox, and I'm having a little bit of PTSD, and I'm kind of worried. Thankfully, it didn't happen under safety car or anything. It just means that Mako is unfortunately losing positions here. You can see his car dropping now to Ipswich as well. Oh boy. Brashnikast retired from the session. What happened to our debutante? Season 6 debutante losing it there out of, hold on a second. Oh, the track map just went away. A corner that I do not know the name, but it looks like it's far enough off track that we might not actually see any kind of safety car. And that was indeed Woodcote. I don't know. Yeah, if I try even saying the corner names, I get made fun of. So that's why I don't really learn it. As we can see, Dante now our championship leader coming up and overtaking Mako, who continues to be ghosted. Thankfully, it doesn't look like there's too many problems in the session, although I don't have the chat pulled up. As these guys, I'm just going to ride on board with Daryl, Adam, and YRG, because they have been having some excellent racing side by side since around lap 3. These guys have been trading places and having some pretty respectful racing as well, I got to say, so props to them. But yeah, Brashnikast's car has been removed, so that's not going to be any kind of safety car or VSC, and I don't really think it would be any kind of timing, as we have a yellow sector 1 now of Mefawak. Yes, that is Mefawak, I believe, getting out of the way of our race leaders as they're making their way through. But Mako's car continuing to drop places here. Excuse me. And we're back. Oh my, okay. But YRG and Daryl Adam are continuing to duke it out here along with the guys up front. We can see a bit of a DRS train forming up there, and I think that's kind of been as looks like Furry Onyx is spun around as well. Jamlad there managing to not pick up any kind of damage, but we're seeing these guys pick up a kind of DRS train, and you can see that ERS lights flashing on the back of Ray Rain's car as they're just trying to get away from Ipswich. Not that they're too worried about fighting Skillet Fan ahead, because they have that tire disadvantage, you could say. And so there's really no need to try and push it as they're coming through these final corners here. But yeah, I'll go ahead and take a look and see. Maybe Mako needs an invite. I'll pull up the chat real quick just to see if, nope. It looks like Mako isn't asking for an invite. So yeah, maybe their internet's just currently down right now. But thankfully, it doesn't look like we've been infected by any of the console problems that we had earlier on, as it looks like these guys are just kind of maintaining their gaps now. But looking at this battle that we've been watching, as we have yet another yellow sector, and that's going to be Jamlad again, still keeping their wing intact, which is always a positive to take away in such a dull moment, or a sad moment rather, probably more apt word for that. But it looks like YRG did finally get a move, so they'll be able to lead this battle here for P6 that we've been following so closely throughout a good chunk of this race. And yeah, it's starting to settle down a little bit more calm than it was over at Xbox, where there was a lot of... Ipswich picks up a 3-second time penalty. We saw time penalties not actually affected. Again, the only reference point that I have is that's Mefawak retired from the session. Where is Mefawak retired at? Looks like we just passed. Can I cut to OJ Fields just in time? Oh, no. Okay, it's going to be Thy Milkman, Skyline Man. Is this going to be any kind of safety car? No, it looks like Mefawak is far enough off track. Surely, if we didn't get any kind of safety car for Brashnikash, their DNF, then we probably wouldn't be getting one. As Ipswich, who... I lost my train of thought while I was covering that, but that's Furry Onyx picking up a 3-second time penalty. So, again, Xbox is really my only other reference of a race, especially for this weekend, as I'm still trying to get settled into my new place. So, time penalties didn't really have much of an effect in the end, even though we saw a lot of drivers pick it up in the first session and ended up getting red flags. So, they did pick up a lot of time penalties in that first session, so I'd imagine that there would have been implications had we continued to not red flag the session if the game actually wasn't as broken as it has been. But yeah, so that is going to be a big role in the end of this race, I'd imagine, especially for these podium positions. They currently are managing that gap to Dante behind ran out Ipswich, and in fact looking at sticking with this DRS train here with Ray Rain and Skillet Fan ahead. But yeah, I've got to say, though, the Xbox guys picked up their time penalties a lot sooner. I think by lap 2 or 3, one of the drivers had picked up a time penalty. But these guys so far are doing an okay job managing it. Again, I haven't looked at the race director. I don't have anybody else who can look at the race director currently. And, well, there you go. Looks like I jinxed it and willed it into there as Daryl Adam picks up a 3-second time penalty. So that might be kind of hurting their battle with YRG ahead as they look to make a move up the inside. And with how powerful that DRS is, I'd imagine that they're going to be able to stick ahead until the next DRS zone. Although I say that, and YRG is going to be going wheel to wheel with him as they come up to the penultimate corner now. And YRG is just right on the back of that gearbox of the Alfa Romeo and having to take a compromised racing line. Daryl Adam is going to get a little bit of a better run out of the final corner, but because YRG is so close, they're able to stick on and use that toe. And you can just see how much of an effect that dirty air still has on these cars. It has been mitigated a little bit and reduced the effect of that dirty air, but it is still present. As you can see, YRG having to take a little bit different line and picking up a bit more understeer than we'd expect with some of these cars. But it looks like for the time being, Daryl Adam is going to be able to hang on to that through this Sector 2 here. Although I keep saying that, and YRG keeps on cutting back so close here, and you can look at the Williams driver looking to make yet another move on the Alfa Romeo there in the corner, and I just got to say that's probably some kind of difference in the setups between these two drivers, and we saw this happen in the Xbox race, where I believe it was LC Fighter who knew that they were going to be leading this race probably with the absolute rapid hot lapping pace that we know LC Fighter has. So they ran some trimmed wings to be able to combat any kind of threat of DRS from drivers behind, and that ended up costing them through Maggots and Beckett's, where they ended up losing it and crashing out, or not crashing out, but rather just spinning for that part of the race. But YRG gets a good look and a good run here down to the penultimate corner now, or this is a penultimate chicane, the final chicane now, but they are still had to back out at the last second there, as I will cut back to these drivers up at the front. Ipswich, Ray Rain still looking at Skillet Fan, and I love Ray Rain and how they are shaping up right now on those hard tires. I like it, although I gotta say it might be something in the back of their mind that they're just wishing that they had chosen the same tires as everybody else, although you obviously don't know that until, as it looks like Jamlad again has a little bit of a spin there in the pit lane entry. But yeah, Ray Ray now, because they're able to keep pace with those hard tires, it's great. They'll be on the softer compound of tires come the end of the race, but you just don't know too with potential, as Ray Ray's getting really close to the back of Skillet Fan ahead. But what I was going to say was that you just think that they probably, that's Ipswich now. Ipswich losing out, looked like they spun out there, and that's Dante coming up to the back of him. And Dante isn't going to have any kind of DRS, but he will get that move done on Ipswich and that Red Bull, who had a little bit of a spin there, where we saw LC Fighter and the Ferrari lose it the other day. Dante has been kind of matching their pace, the front runners here, but I just got to say, it looks like this is just really, it's not a track that is one of their stronger ones, if I'm being quite honest with you guys. But that's going to be a big sigh of relief for Ray Ray, and honestly probably Skillet Fan as well, potentially. Although I guess if you're Ray Ray, you're not really having to worry too much about the drivers behind you now. You don't have to worry about Ipswich. Ipswich isn't in your DRS anymore. You only have to worry about that driver ahead. So this is shaping up to be pretty good for Ray Ray. And I gotta say, I think we're probably looking at the medium tires starting to taper off just a little bit now, as they are coming up to lap 11 the next time around. Although I say that, we just started lap 10. But yeah, the medium's good for about 14 laps before they really start to lose pace, and the hard tire is good for 18 laps. So Ray Rain will be on the preferred tire with the lighter fuel load at the end of the race, although everybody will be on a lighter fuel load. But those mediums do seem to like the lighter fuel running and are a lot more pacier compared to the hard tires. Hard tires seem to be bulletproof in this game, and they seem to maintain pace throughout the entirety of their stints, whereas the mediums do taper off a bit more drastically than you would see with the hards, and it's just a completely different breed when it comes to the soft tires, as indeed Skillet Fan is going to be diving into the pits now. So we'll go ahead and pull up the tires and take a look at, it's everybody but Ray Rain on the medium tires, on the medium tires. Trying to remember what I said earlier there, as it looks like Ipswich finally managed to get around Dante, and both of them opting to stay out, and in fact all the drivers opting to stay out here. So interesting choice. Let's see what Skillet Fan can do with this early pit. Is there going to be any kind of potential undercut that is going to be done here? And I gotta say too, I mean, with how long this pit lane is, how much time is lost under green flag conditions, you kind of want to wait until somebody else triggers a safety car before you go in and box, as you'll be able to save so much more time under safety car conditions if you do decide to pit. So I guess Skillet Fan just kind of figured that nobody's really close enough. Looking at the mini map, nobody's really close enough to be kind of triggering any kind of safety car. So let's just go ahead and get our stint over with. But we'll go ahead and keep an eye out. We saw Ipswich and Dante continue on and did not head into the pits this time around, or last time around rather. And we'll continue to monitor that, but I imagine that they're probably not worried about that. They're more worried about battling each other. Speaking of battling each other, YRG and Daryl Adams sticking with it. Man, it is something that you absolutely love to see, but unfortunately, there's the ghost of Mako ahead, and that's just a reminder of just the sad times of what could have been if Mako had stuck in the lobbies. They were doing fairly well, as we do indeed see Dante heading into the pits now as well. So Skillet Fan kicking things off as we see both Daryl Adam and YRG dive. Oh, that's gonna hurt Daryl Adam now. But if I'm not mistaken, no, Daryl Adam does have the 3-second time penalty as I remember the beginning of this race, and it looks like OJ Fields is also opting to come into the pits now. So Ipswich staying out. Ooh, yet another one picking up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane is going to be Thy Milk Menace, Skyline Man, as we're riding on board with Ipswich as they come around Luffield now and up to Woodcott. As we see a yellow flag, I think that's Advocat there. I braced myself in case it was Ray Rain, but we are good. We'll take a look at the tires. I'd imagine everybody opting for the hards. It's going to be a one-stop with how many, you guys see Mako asking for an invite, and I would gladly do that, Mako. Let's go ahead and get you invited in here and back in, and possibly look to get your car into the pits potentially, and try and scrape for some points, as you're currently sitting P3 if you're listening into this, as Ipswich indeed is going to respond to Dante heading into the pits last time around by indeed heading into the pits this time around. So again, I'd imagine that it's going to be the hard tires onto Ipswich's car. We'll go ahead and cut to Dante, who Ipswich was racing before Dante headed into the pits. And I got to make mention of it. These tires, especially the hard tires, are incredibly difficult to warm up coming out of the pits. They're very difficult. We've seen it with, was it Skillet Fan, I believe? I believe it was Skillet Fan who got spun around, or iHunter maybe it was iHunter in Spain, where we saw them drop it on the exit there. And when you're coming up to Ipswich, fantastic job. I wonder if Dante had some kind of problems on their outlap, as Ipswich coming out very far ahead of Dante, but we got to keep in mind, as I was talking about, Ipswich is going to be on some colder hards. Dante's are going to be warmed up enough, but he's 3 seconds back to Ipswich ahead there. So Ipswich looking at a podium right now, and Ray Rain nearly has a free pit stop to Skillet Fan behind on those hard tires. I can't remember if Skillet Fan has indeed pitted for the hard tires, so that explains why. Terrible observationing by me, observing by me, but I don't know. I didn't see if Mako is back. I guess we can take a look at their car. It is still ghosted, so we'll try sending Mako another invite again. Mako, buddy, are you there? There you are. Send you an invite now. Sent you another one, and see if that'll hopefully get you back in here, because we'd be glad to see you back in the fight, as it looks like your AI has indeed gone and pitted for you. It's OJ Fields now picks up a time penalty, which I guess is a good enough time to take a look at how these time penalties are starting to play out. Crucially, Ipswich with that 3-second time penalty, Dante is within that window, though we just have crossed over the halfway mark in this race, so still a bit of a ways to go, and we can see all these gaps on the mini-map there starting to space out now. Really, the closest we've got is going to be back here, from P6 down to, what is that, P8, I guess? Or P5, excuse me, down to P8, with Mako still not in their seat, currently controlled by the computer right now. And I think it might have been Mako who made this lobby, so maybe he's hoping that he upped the AI to about 110 right now, and that he might even be in the lead of the race if he had done that. But he's an honorable man, so of course that's not going to be something that he had done. But yeah, these gaps starting to spread out now. Nobody within any kind of DRS zone. Excuse me, that was kind of, yeah, not necessary. But as we see somebody else coming into the pits. Is that going to be Advocat there heading? No, it's going to be Ray Rain coming into the pits. Why isn't it telling me that Ray Rain's in the pits there on the screens? Because I have the timing pulled up. So Ray Rain, where are they going to come out now? On the medium tires. Going to be able to get to the end of the race there, especially with, what are we at? If I can do math in my head, 11 laps left. That should easily get them to the end of the race there. As you can see, Skillet Fan coming around this final corner. It is going to be extremely close, ladies and gentlemen, as Ray Rain is coming out now. And indeed, Skillet Fan has gotten ahead of him. You can see Skillet Fan there, and it looked like that undercut from Skillet Fan, that huge undercut, the one that triggered the pit stops now, has indeed maintained a lead to Ray Rain in the Ferrari. But crucially, Ray Rain has the better tire and the newer tire. So Ray Rain, it's going to be a little bit while until we see any kind of overtake happen here at the front. I say that, Ray Rain has just been in a whole nother league this time out. As we go ahead and look now. Oh, it looks like Mako's still struggling to get back in here as the time penalties continue to pour in for these guys, but we'll keep continuing riding on board with Ray Rain. Rookie of the season in my eyes. The Ferrari driver who, if they finish the race right here, right now, knock on wood, nothing bad happens, but they would be our championship leaders with Dante, our current championship leader in the McLaren, all the way down there. And we haven't had, again, a championship lead change, and that's something I meant to have checked earlier, but we haven't had a championship league change since Dante took control, and that's going to be a 3-second time penalty picked up for Dante. So that is that worry just absolutely gone out of Ipswich's mind now, as they are both neutralized on the time penalties for that battle of the final podium position, as Ray Rain puts in a purple final sector there on their outlap. So those medium tires, they are up to temperature, and he is going to be looking, look at how close he's gaining on the back of that gearbox of the Williams ahead there for Skillet Fan. Me, oh my, it is starting to get a little bit spicy. We are going to be seeing some overtakes, and I was going to say we might see some overtakes here with Mako and YRG, but Mako still struggling to be able to join, and look at that gap. This pace differential is so huge, even with relatively fresh tires for Skillet Fan. Excuse me, as I got the hiccups now. Even with those relatively fresh tires, it's just not enough, as it looks like Advocat has some kind of issues. Let's go ahead and see if they have any kind of front wing damage. No, indeed they do not. But let's go ahead and cut back to Ray Rain, who's coming through the Chappelle Curve, Grande corner, something like that. And then when he's coming out with DRS, you can see that big envelope box open way wide, as Skillet Fan opts to go defensive here. Ray Rain looking to go around the outside there, which is going to give him the benefit of the inside line, but this is just Kane, so it's only going to last for so long. And oh my goodness, what is this camera angle? We'll cut back on board as we're going side by side now through the final corner. Ray Rain gets that move finally done as they cross the line, and that is going to be Ray Rain back into the lead of this race, who lost it in the very start of the lap. But Ray Rain on the newer tires, on the softer compound of tires than Skillet Fan behind, and more importantly, without any kind of penalties, although Skillet Fan does not have penalties as well for the time being. We still have less than 10 laps to go now in the race, and with such a long lap, anything could happen, as that DRS allows Skillet Fan to catch up for the time being, and that's going to be something that Skillet Fan's going to want to do. But with those ERS lights flashing on the back of their car, indicating that they have less than 10% battery charge, they're going to be struggling to stay within that DRS window, and I think Ray Rain's just going to be able to pull away and drive off into the sunset. And see you later, Golden Boy. My goodness, as I finally have pulled up the standings now, and indeed, Dante has had the lead of this championship since the get-go out in Spain. So this will be, if Ray Rain does manage to win, knock on wood that nothing bad happens, this will be a championship change, as Skillet Fan manages to have DRS through the straight. I don't know, is this the hangar straight, or is that the GT car start? As I go ahead and pull up the track map. Yeah, no, that's the wrong one. This is Vale. That was Vale. Wait, no, that was the hangar. Whatever. I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna pronounce it wrong anyway. So, just one of the corners yeah, Ray Rain putting in, unsurprisingly, the fastest lap time. And I imagine that's probably going to stick for a while, as everybody else has the hard compound tires. So unless somebody pushes towards the end, pits for the softs, I think Ray Rain's got that extra fastest lap point, which might be very crucial towards the end of the season. Now, as I go ahead and take a little pause here to catch my breath. Alright, my breath has been caught, and it looks like we have somebody else now within DRS range. This battle between positions P5 all the way down to P8 now, that Mako has joined us. As Skillet Fan, oh no! Skillet Fan picks up a 3-second time penalty now as well. Oh, that's going to help out Ray Rain big time, but man, that is certainly not going to help Skillet Fan, although I guess it could go. It might be worth saying, too, that if Dante does indeed, or Ipswich, if one of them catches up to the back of Skillet Fan, you know, they'll be neutralized on penalties, as we'll go ahead and pull that up and have a look now at those time penalties. Daryl Adam, of course, and Thy Milk Menace having picked up time penalties. And there's a car stop there on that straight. Is that Skillet Fan? That is Skillet Fan. So just the race, it was going so well, and all of a sudden the problems are starting to compound. Picked up that time penalty, lost the position to Ray Rain, and now had a little bit of a mess up. And I was just talking about it. If Ipswich and Dante caught up to the back of Skillet Fan, then he wouldn't have to worry about having that actually, he wouldn't have to worry about that, because then if he loses position on track, if he stays within that 3-second window, he would have been able to have taken a better position. Oh man, as we'll go ahead and take a look at the movers and the shakers, you can just see just the class that these drivers have from in PlayStation. I mean, in Xbox, the qualifying, and over in PC as well, especially in PC Divisions 2 and 4, which I've had the luck of commentating alongside with Quimbulus. The qualifying just means nothing, because so many randomness and just so many unaccounted for variables come to play here. But in PlayStation, qualifying does actually matter. It will tell you what might happen and what the finishing order might look like towards the end of the race. So our big mover, of course, going to be YRG in our biggest, I hate to say loser, because they're not a loser. They're a multi-champion, if I'm not mistaken, Mako. I know he's won at least one championship last season. But he's just had that unfortunate luck of being disconnected and the game being bugged with trying to invite people. So I wouldn't really put that on Mako there. So, but yeah, qualifying actually means something here in these guys. And that's kind of why I talked about it, you know, during the qualifying session. Ray Rain has some absolute blistering pace. Mako has some blistering pace. Ipswich, Skillet Fan, and Dante not really there, and you can see where it kind of matters. And again, it also too is track dependent, as some of these drivers do have those tracks that they just prefer to drive around, and because of that, they like driving in it in the off season, yada yada, you name it. Yeah, it's been a fun season so far here over in PlayStation, and looking forward to what the championship is going to be looking like at the end of it, as we continue to ride on board with two drivers who have been duking it out since the start. Of course, we know that Daryl Adam is carrying that 8 seconds worth of time penalties along with his teammate, I believe, who picked up a 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty, as it looks like Jamlad is spun around yet again, the Issei of this division, I guess. Excuse me if Issei is indeed looking at this or watching it, but yeah, as I go ahead and cut away there, Onyx getting lapped by, I believe, our race leader Ray Rain, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, indeed they are. But Daryl Adam having that speeding in the pit lane penalty, which is one you just cannot appeal, as our race leader Ray Ray now has picked up a 3-second time penalty, although they do have a nice gap to Skillet Fan. But we saw what happened to Skillet Fan whenever they picked up that time penalty. Didn't work out too well for them in the end there, and they ended up spinning around in that final corner where we saw Ipswich drop it on the final lap of their qualifying session there. So, thankfully Ray Rain is gone there. And doesn't have to worry about that, although I guess Skillet Fan didn't actually drop it in that final corner. It was a little bit before around where we're at now. But, Ray Rain, don't stress me out like this, okay? Please don't stress me out like this. I do have a healthy enough gap to Skillet Fan behind, but, man, we're coming towards the latter stages of this race. Rather, probably the final stage of this race as YRG continues the battle with Daryl Adam. And I'll go ahead and pull up penalties. I keep pulling them up, but I don't really know. Okay, so top 4, 3 seconds. Then we got Daryl with 8, OJ Fields with 2 track limits, then Furry with 5 track limits, and Thigh Milk Menace with 2 and a pit. Okay, I'll try to remember that so I don't have to bring it up again. We can take a look at the tire life as well. You can see Skillet Fan, the first one into the pits, triggering all the pit stops essentially. And Ray Rain, who started on the hard compound tires, came in and is now on the preferred tire, the more rapid medium tires now in the lead. So yeah, man, I mean, I think it's never safe to say that Ray Rain was going to win this race from the get-go, but they certainly looked the most competitive just based on their qualifying time, nearly a full second ahead of Skillet Fan, who started alongside them in the front row. But yeah, that Ray Rain in a different field this time around. So I gotta say, I am a bit sad that I'll be missing it. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'll be missing the race on Sunday. But I'm a bit sad because it'll be Miami. It'll be as Daryl Adam again picks up another 3-second time penalty. The current battle that we're watching unravel here. Yeah, I'm sad because Miami is just a new track to all these drivers, and it's one that I enjoyed the track. I enjoyed watching the real life race, and so I just kind of want to know what these guys will be able to do, especially because last time out in Baku, I'm not saying Miami is identical to Baku or even characteristically the same, but it's a street circuit with walls on either side, and it has been shambles for these guys over in Xbox when we had our FRS Cups. So I'm curious as to what the console people will have to deliver, although I do know that there's been some rumors floating around the Xbox paddock that we might have a delay to our season. Not 100% sure what the truth is to that, but I guess we'll see. We'll see in the end what happens. So yeah, so we might have a potential delay. Not 100% sure for the Xbox people after we had our first red flag that I can ever recall, as Furry Onyx retires from the session as they head into the pits now. Yeah, man, oh man, it is it's been something else with this game now, bringing its bugs over to the console side of things. Yeah, but we're riding on board now, as we have been with YRG. I guess we could go ahead and cut to some other people who haven't been getting any kind of action throughout this race. There is, we have that yellow flag in Sector 1 is Furry Onyx. Jamlad has retired from this session. We saw him struggling around this track earlier on their second home race. Of course, you know, Jamlad is a true red, white, and blue-blooded American, definitely not an English brother. So this is a secondary race. He races under the American flag, most definitely. But anyways, yeah, that's what that yellow flag is there in Sector 1, as Advocat is now coming up and overtaking. Then we'll go ahead and cut to our favorite rookie's teammate, Advocat, in the Ferrari, who is going to be coming home with points today. I guess that's something else that we could point out, that this ended up being kind of a race of attrition, and that's how I scrapped my way through Xbox whenever we were just one division. And I mean, it certainly paid off in the end. If you showed up and if you got the points, then you were sitting pretty at the end of the season. Top 10 finishes easy. Yeah, I think my best finish, it's not about me. I don't even remember what my best finish is when we were racing one division. So yeah, but I mean, props to Advocate. That's something else we could do. We could take a look at the standings and just kind of go through it and talk about what it's looked like for these PlayStation drivers, as we are going to be crossing our halfway point once that checker flag is thrown. So yeah, Dante over in Austria didn't have the bestest of times with championship leader, but because they had those 2 race wins back-to-back, Spa and Belgium, they're able to maintain their championship lead through this race. But it's looking like Dante is going to be losing it to Ray Rain, our current race leader and rookie of the year in our hearts and minds. So remember, when you are filling out, and also this is a good time too to shout out that Quimbulus does have that survey for the overtakes of the year and moment of the year as well, and that's been going on. So it's a Google form submission. I believe it's pinned in the General Happy Central channel in our Discord. If you want to join, you can click on that link, as we're going to go ahead and cut to YRG, as they are very close now to Daryl Adam. Of course, we know that Daryl Adam is carrying 11 seconds of time penalties, if I'm not mistaken, as they picked up another 3-second time penalty not too long ago. But YRG has just been below 10% on their ERS for quite some time there, which I think has allowed Daryl Adam to maintain their on-track position ahead of YRG. So as we're winding down to the second to final lap, we call it the penultimate lap if we want to sound fancy pants, but yeah, YRG was closing that gap a little bit there. But yes, as I was talking about earlier, you can submit these overtakes of the year, moments of the year. Just send in a clip to that form that is, I believe, pinned in our Discord. And if you want to join our league, then you can go ahead and click on the join our Discord hyperlink in the Twitch channel if you are watching this on desktop. Not exactly sure how you'd be able to do that on mobile. I believe that if you go to just our overall channel when we're not live, or if you just cut to our home page, then you'll be able to find a link to it, as it looks like YRG is just rather settling in, doing the wiser, smarter thing to do, and just kind of accepting that they might not finish ahead of them on track, and just kind of, finish with the penalties. And to be fair, it is pretty amazing to go this entire race without picking up penalties, because as you can see on the screen, most of our drivers have picked up penalties, the majority of them. So huge props to YRG, and also too, it's really just YRG and Advocat who haven't picked up any kind of track limit penalties, because as we know, Mako being struck with that unfortunate luck with the disconnect early on in the race. And so you kind of think of what could have been as Ray Rain crosses the start finish line to start the final lap of this race. And I would say that Ray Rain's been dominant, but it's been since they overtook Skillet Fan in the latter stages of this race. So yeah, they picked for the different strategy from everybody else, and they made it work for them. They had an absolute dominant qualifying session. I'll absolutely give Ray Rain that. But man, oh man, it's a story of what could have been, because qualifying is so crucial in this division here. As they put in a purple sector 2, Ray Rain really wanting to take the entire Sunday. They want the cherry, the sprinkles, the nuts, the banana, the hot fudge, the ice cream, all of it. But as they put in a purple sector 2, I imagine that they're potentially going for the fastest lap, although they already have the fastest lap point for the time being. Man, Ray Rain, congratulations as they cross the line to win the Silverstone Grand Prix, and there is that cherry on top to that whole Sunday that Ferrari driver well deserves. Skillet Fan coming home to take P2. Ipswich rounding the final corner now, as well as, oh, they spin again! Oh, are they going to be able to get back on the track, as Dante is coming up now? And is Ipswich going to be able to cross the line? I mean, is that even technically crossing the line? It looks like they do. Okay, thank goodness, man. Giving me a heart attack there, Ipswich. Man, that... Whoo-wee! So, boy, oh boy. So that's going to be our podium there. Ray Rain, Skillet Fan, and Ipswich giving us a little bit of a heart attack there at the end. Really testing our all of our blood vessels. Making sure that our tickers are working. But, me oh my. As Dale Adam comes across the line and is going to lose that position once penalties have been applied, and even loses out to OJ Fields as well, as Mako, their AI, is going to be coming up next across the line, and it's going to be a while until we see Advocat, Thy Milk Menace, coming across the line to round everything out for these guys. So, yeah, what a more mellow race, at least, to say the least. It's been a more mellow race compared to what happened over in Xbox as Advocates rounding the final corner now, as they'll be crossing the line, and shortly thereafter will be Thy Milk Menace rounding out the final points position in that Alfa Romeo. So everybody gets points today if you showed up and finished, except for Mako. Sorry, buddy. I don't think you're going to be getting it, although I think you're one of the ones controlling the spreadsheet, so I could be wrong, as YRG picks up Driver of the Day. And I gotta say, that's a pretty respectable choice. Of course, the game preferring to give Driver of the Day to the person who made up the most positions usually. But who do I give Driver of the Day to? I don't want to give it to Ray Rain. Not because I have anything against Ray Rain, but it was just so apparent in qualifying that this was going to be their race to lose. And I don't know. I really don't know. Do I give it to me? I'll give it to LC Fighter. LC Fighter gets Driver of the Day for taking care of his conference. Even though he didn't even show up to this race, he can have Driver of the Day if he wants it. But no, in all seriousness, really you could give it to anybody. YRG definitely had a good race moving up the field the way they did. Advocates, another good one. One of the only two drivers not to pick up any kind of time penalty. So I don't know. I think, although if I'm not mistaken, we gave it to Advocate last weekend, or I gave it to Advocate last weekend, if I remember correctly, or 2 weekends ago. So we'll go with YRG. I believe that is a respectable Driver of the Day. YRG picking up Driver of the Day, starting from P13, not even putting a valid lap time in, getting all the way up to P5, avoiding the shambles, avoiding picking up any kind of time penalties. So the Williams driver, congratulations for taking home the Driver of the Day, brought to you by Shields Outdoor Sports and Living, where you can get all of your outdoor equipment gear that you need. Congratulations, YRG. And a very mellow British Grand Prix race. Make sure you stick around for the Division 2, which will be wrapping up. And man, they have some quite interesting races over there, I got to say. So make sure you stick around for that. That'll be kicking off with Quimulus and Herringzord here in just under 20 minutes time. So thank you guys very much for tuning in and watching, and I will catch you guys next week for Xbox in Miami, but probably not for PlayStation, unfortunately. So my deepest apologies to the lovely PlayStation drivers for providing with great content. I won't be able to cover it next week, most likely. But we will be going to Miami, home of the Dolphins, I guess. I don't know. Tyreek Hill's new home. Anyways, it's been real. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Make sure to continue to stay tuned into this channel, as Herringzord and Quimulus will be announcing PC Division 2.